As you can kind of see by the calendar, even though I'm kind of blocking it, on Friday, this September 12th, we are getting the fourth Legends and Flashbacks collection, and it does say collections. Um, so I assume we're going to be getting multiple players like we did for the Hall of Fame drop when we got Jose Bautista, Billy Wagner, and Dick Allen. And I actually really appreciate that they're adding like cards as you progress because these collections are, they're mounting in this game, and it's not going to be easy. But today I'm going to be, walking through each card series, predicting how many we'll need, noting certain players that are going to skyrocket in price, and you should be prepared for, like we always do for these. So let's get into it. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys become a channel member to receive exclusive perks such as roster update advice from someone who's made over 10 million stubs this year, one-on-one coaching, and access to the members-only Discord, link in the description. First, I want to go over a few card series that don't have a voucher in any of the collections that I think will have a voucher. First, we're going to start out with the Hall of Fame series. I think that, well, first of all, there's an 100% chance the Hall of Fame series is going to get a voucher. There are 15 in the game, and there's going to be a 16th on Friday. They just announced that the Weekend Classic rewards will be a Hall of Fame Honus Wagner and an awards Bob Gibson. So that does factor into my predictions. But ultimately, Hall of Fame is definitely something that people are not going to be prepared for because most of these cards are extremely hard to get, or they're very expensive. I mean, looking at some of these cards, Gil Hodges is for the NL, Ted Williams and Dick Allen are from previous collections, same with Billy Wagner. CC was in a program, Ted Simmons was a boss, Dave Parker's a program, but besides, if we turn to the other page, Rod Carews Diamond Quest, so you can get him, same with Cy Young and Paul Molitor, but David Ortiz is another boss, and then we have a chase pack in George Brett, another chase pack in Raleigh Fingers, and then a multiplayer in Josh Gibson, and then another program. So you're going to have to lock in some expensive cards, and I think these Diamond Quest cards will definitely go up. I think for Hall of Fame, we will have 16 cards. I think you're going to need 12. So it's going to be very, very difficult. And another card series that I think will get a voucher is Finest. Yes, the retro Finest cards. I think that there will be a voucher. And the reason why I think that there will be a voucher for Finest is, I was thinking about it. And do you guys remember when the Scott Rowland collection came out and Standout didn't really have that many cards, but people thought that they could do a voucher and they did, and it was super difficult? That's kind of the same situation. Going into the content update, there were only 5 Standout cards, and 2 of them were from collections, being the Darren O'Day from the AL East and the Paul O'Neill from the Yankees. So those were 2 really hard cards to get. The rest of them weren't that difficult, but they skyrocketed in price, and then they added the chase pack being Jorge Posada. I think it could be the same thing here. I think we could get either a headliner or a chase card or a boss being in Retro Finest, and even if we don't get any, I think we have enough for a voucher. And so I think that 3 is reasonable. If they don't add any new cards, probably 3. Because if it was 4, it would require either Jimmy Rollins or Bautista. But if they do add another card in the update, I could see 4. C4. But yeah, like Jason Kipnis and Rob Nen, I'm stacking up. And Chase Headley is going to be someone that you're going to want to get as well. So now let's go into the series that have collections from previous Legends and Flashbacks collections. The first thing that I want to note is every single collection except Moonshot, which we'll get into later, every single collection that we have a player reward for, except for Neon, you will need the final reward, including the new Threads Carlos Correa. So you're going to need Posada, Correa, Raleigh, Holiday, Seager, Rutschman, Berkman, Judge, not Buxton, we'll get into that later, DeGrom, Donaldson, Sasaki, DeVries, all these guys, and Honus Wagner at the in the 20th anniversary. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's been the same all year. Now for Neon, I don't think they're going to require Brian Reynolds. That would be kind of crazy. I mean, they could. I think it's more realistic for them to put the voucher as Al Leiter, maybe Lou Gehrig, strictly because this is a Team Affinity content drop that has been out for like a week and a half. And, you know, like we had the Color Storm content come out 2 weeks before the Ted Williams collection, maybe 3 weeks, and it only required 15. Now, granted, these are player rewards. I would be shocked if it was Reynolds. Wouldn't be too surprised if it was Gehrig, but I think this one's going to be Outlighter. These are all free cards. Literally, you just have to grind the game to get this done. And if we go back to the calendar real quick, they did note that we are getting Moonshot 2.0, and this is going to be like new threads, where they extend on the collection. So if we go back to Legends and Flashbacks and we go to new threads, when we had the trade deadline new threads content, it was not a separate collection. It was the same collection that they extended on. So therefore, I do not think Byron Buxton is going to be the Moonshot voucher. I think it's going to be whoever is that new collection reward for Moonshot 2.0. This is why you always, or, you know, not everyone is, you know, as loaded as I am in MLB The Show. But I prepared for it, you know. I bought Candelario. I basically bought the guys that I didn't have. And all these guys have skyrocketed in price. This is probably going to be the one I skip just because I'm going to have to play the new content. I'm definitely going to get the collection like either the day of or the day after. But this is, you know, going to be fresh content. So now let's take a look at all the other collections and talk about my predictions. So let's start with Milestone. Milestone is going to be a very difficult one. They've added a lot of players on the market to Milestone, either Diamond Quest or pack players. For Milestone, I think it's going to be 20 out of 25, you know, assuming, and all these numbers do factor in confirmed content drops or content drops that we know are going to happen, like September Spotlight. So we have 25 milestones in the game. I think this is going to jump a pretty high amount because they've added a ton of milestones since the last collection. I think Milestone is going to be 20 out of 25. So in that case, be prepared, get your conquests done for this Real Muto, get your programs done. Make sure that you have all of the non-sellable guys because you're going to need some of these guys. And like guys like Chris Bryant, like for example, if you're going to only be able to skip 5 cards, it's going to be Chipper, Babe Ruth. Actually, these guys aren't too expensive, but they're going to go up in price for sure. So yeah, maybe not as bad as I thought. For awards, this one is also going to be pretty difficult. Like I mentioned earlier, they confirmed Bob Gibson as one of the Weekend Classic rewards, who is a Cy Young card, so he will be added to the awards collection. So that makes a total of 38 confirmed players. You know, we have 37 right now. I think that you're going to need 30 awards cards, which is a pretty big jump from the 15 for the voucher, but they also have added a crap ton of these guys. And this is just why you always get your offline missions done, get all the program rewards done. And this is why you always invest in guys from the multiplayer program, because these guys are going to go up. Joe Morgan's going to go up. Who else is in like the multiplayer program? Like this Edgar Martinez, he's going to go up a lot. Make sure you guys are buying these cards because you don't want to have to lock in a Manny Ramirez, or he's not that expensive. You're not going to want to have to lock in a Jackie Robinson, Brian Howard, or Mark McGuire, or definitely not that Randy Johnson because he is a ton of stubs. Garrett Cole too, he's getting up there. Awards, for Milestone and awards, if you don't have your offline grinding done, you're kind of screwed. Really quickly, I'll just go through the Team Affinity Series 2. For Jolt, I think this is either going to be 27 or 28. It's not going to be 30 because there's probably going to be one final collection on the finest drop. So they need cards to add to the collection. So either 27 or 28 for Jolt. And then for Color Storm, this one's pretty obvious. It makes sense for it to be 15, 20, 25, 30. So expect 25 Color Storm cards. Moving on to Contributor, there are a couple of these low overall series that are really going to creep up on people. Contributor is one of them. You needed 32 for the Jose Bautista. They haven't added a single Contributor card. One thing that I do want to note for all these card series like Contributor, Rookie, Breakout, Veteran, maybe not All-Star, but like Last Ride, Postseason, is that we are going to get 3 more Cornerstones, so that might help, but I can't really predict which series they're going to be. If I had to predict, I think it would be definitely a rookie, maybe a veteran, maybe a last ride. There has to be another last ride card, but we'll get into that later. Let's focus on contributor. 32 for Bautista. They haven't added any contributor cards since that collection. So just given that there are only 2 other cards, I would say if they don't add any contributors, you'll probably need 1 more. If they add 1 more, you'll need 2 more. So I've invested in this Frank Thomas, and I'm trying to invest in this Willie Stargell. Now, last ride is an interesting one because last time you needed every single one of them, and they haven't added a single one since. So I assume one of the cornerstones is going to be a last ride card. I don't know what they would do if they didn't add any last ride cards. Maybe they would just transform this voucher into like an overall last ride voucher. I highly doubt they would do that though. My prediction is that they're just going to make it one of the cornerstones and you'll need every single card again. And in that case, this Nolan Ryan is going to skyrocket all the way up to, maybe not all the way up to 100K like he did last time. But I bought all these at Quick Sell when they added that pack to that Spotlight program. Only going to go up. Moving on to rookie, this is the same thing. They didn't add any rookies, and there's only 1 more that you can add to your collection. For me, it's this Devin Williams, and he is really rising in price. I will say I would hold off from buying Devin Williams because obviously we're getting a new Weekend Classic on Friday. So people are going to be opening the rewind packs and getting Devin Williams. You can do that yourself by playing Weekend Classic. So I don't think he's going to get too expensive. I don't know. I feel pretty good. I think that they're going to add a rookie card for one of the cornerstone guys. But if they don't add any rookie cards, it's just going to be this whatever card that you don't have collected. Moving on to breakout, it's pretty much the same situation as rookie. There's 1 card that you will not have collected, assuming you have Bautista. For me, it's this Hank Greenberg. I invested in all those cards. Like, I've done it like 6 times at this point, and I've made so many stubs off of them. But like, if they don't add any breakouts to the cornerstone, then you're going to need every single card, and this Hank Greenberg is going to skyrocket in price. Same situation as rookie. Now, All-Star is a different situation. They might have added a couple cards, but it's different because there's so many more cards in All-Star than all the other series that are like the low overall series. For All-Star, there are 64 in the game. I think that you are going to need 60. I think that's a reasonable number. A +5 from Bautista. And I think there's an All-Star card from, I think there are a few All-Star cards. Yeah, Brandon Webb and Wade Boggs were cornerstones from the last XP reward path. But outside of that, there are going to be a lot of multiplayer rewards and chase cards. So it'll be like Webb and Boggs will be 2, and then you'll need 3 more. Dawson's a BR rewind. This is a chase card. Who else is here? This is another chase card. This is another chase card. Another chase card. And then another BR rewind. So you're going to have to lock in a chase card. If you do the 2 BR rewinds, the 2 cornerstones, you're going to need 1 more card. So at least buy 1 of them if you can. Veteran is another one where it's the same situation. They haven't added any cards and you can only collect 1 more. So if there are no cornerstone cards for the veteran series, you're going to just need this Pettit and you're going to need all of them. So this is a guy that could skyrocket in price. I think he would come back down pretty quickly though, because they're going to drop another multiplayer program, but not for a couple of days though. But yeah, so just be on the lookout for that. Same thing for second half. There are only 2 more cards they added a Stargell, but there are two other cards. I have second half being 28 out of 29. They could add, if they add a cornerstone, I think it'll be 28 out of 30. If they don't, I still think it'll be 28. I think you'll need to collect all but 1 of them, meaning this Tim Raines is going to skyrocket. Same with this Tom Seaver. I kind of already have some expensive cards locked in, like Randy Johnson and Trey Turner. So you could avoid those 2. But if you do, you're going to need Tim Raines, you're going to need Tom Seaver, you're going to need Billy Williams, who's going to go up in price. Same with McCovey. You're going to need a bunch of headliners. Standout, this is one that's going to creep up on people. They haven't added any standout cards. These guys are all either offline cards or pretty expensive cards. I think standout is going to be 19 out of 20. And there's an Jorge Posada who's a former Chase card that I bought at 25K, and look at him now. He's only going to go up. So this Tony Perez and this Evan Phillips are going to be guys that you're going to want because they're going to skyrocket in price, because you're going to need those two for this voucher if you want to avoid Posada. Postseason, again, is similar to the other ones. They haven't added any cards. So I think they're going to require one of the final two that you don't have. I don't think it will be both. And I do think that the postseason, the 2025 postseason, will have its own collection. I don't think it'll be on top of this collection. But yeah, I mean, this Machado used to be quick sell, is now 30K. This Whitey Ford is very expensive. He's a Diamond Quest reward though, so go play Diamond Quest. Boy, is this video going to be a long one. Spotlight. This one is going to be a huge challenge because almost all of these, you're going to need so many cards that are on the market and you need to buy. For Spotlight, we are going to have 126 because there's going to be 3 more for the first September drop. 126 cards. I think that you'll need either 110 or 115. These guys are just very expensive. I will say, don't buy the August ones because the scouting report pack is going to be a guaranteed one. So those guys will probably be going down in price, but all the other ones like July, June, the extra ones that you don't have, if you don't have these collections done, you're going to want to prepare for those. For Cornerstone, I do think they're going to require the 3 new ones, but those are very easy to do. I expect that, like, I get the Cornerstones within an hour of the content drop. If you're a casual player, you can still get them very quickly, but maybe they won't require the 3 new ones and it'll just be 21. But yeah, I mean, I fully expect it to be 24. Last but not least, we have Topps Now. This is very similar to Spotlight, where it's going to just be an insane amount of cards. We have 3 pages of Topps Now cards, and a lot of these are just on the market. Same situation as Spotlight. We will have 149 Topps Now cards. I think it's going to be anywhere between 130 and 140. So I hope you guys have been buying these guys at quick sell right when their monthly drop has arrived. But yeah, like guys like Hurston Waldrip, great reliever, by the way. You're going to want to get in on these guys because they're going to go up. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. If you guys are new here, follow me on all my social medias, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, but most importantly, make sure to subscribe down here on YouTube. So yeah, see you guys next one. Peace.